Hello everybody, it is January 18th, 2013, and we had 3 releases this week. Step 86 of the Listen and Recognize, I'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment. We had Step 15 in the Vibrato Course and Step 12 in the Advanced Voice Course. And what that means is all of the courses are progressing just like they should be, and that's exciting and very cool. Step 86, yeah, we're really moving along there. If you've been following that course, you've just got tons of information to listen and listen and listen and listen and identify, right? Well, here's what happened at this point in time at Step 86. For a little while, before I move to the next section and start to do 7th and 9th and 11th and 13th chords, before we go into those types of chords and scales, I want to keep working a lot with the major, minor, diminished, and augmented chords that we already have. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to be moving them around now very slowly, but in inversions. Inversions meaning a different order of the notes other than a root positions. Example, if I have C, E, and G, it might be E, C, and G, or it might be G, C, and E. Those are different orders with the lowest note not being the root. Those are called inversions. And you have to get an ear for that, and it can get kind of tricky to hear like the difference between a major or minor chord when they're in an inversion. And so we're going to spend some time doing that before we ever move to the 7th chords. So if you're involved in that, again, build your skills. It's so worth your while to be able to hear those chord changes change, because what does it mean to you as a singer? It means that you're going to be able to improvise around those chords and hear licks and do things with the melody line that's different because you hear how the harmonies are following around the chords. It's important. Keep building that skill. Now on the vibrato course, we are in the refinement section of the vibrato course now, starting to work on exercises that starts to refine your vibrato in various different ways. And what that means is really being able to control it, bring it in, bring it out, how to start to speed it up and slow it down. Those types of things are going to be popping up pretty soon. Now on the Advanced Voice Course, well, what's happening there? Well, what's happening there on the last lesson, which is kind of an interesting tie-in, is that I'm asking students to bring their vibrato in, but through their mix, and then be able to control holding the vibrato, coming in straight, bringing the vibrato in, vocalizing, coming back down, holding the note straight, bringing the vibrato in, and stopping. So, if you already know how to do that, then you're fine in the Advanced Voice Course. If not, then perfect, go back to the vibrato course and learn how to do vibrato, because you're not being taught how to do vibrato in the Advanced Voice Course. You're just being asked to use it in various different ways. And those ways are taught to you in the vibrato course. Make sense? Now on your tip of the week, a couple of weeks ago I mentioned William Vannard and talked about one of his very famous exercises, which was the yawn Sigh Exercise. And quickly I'll talk a little bit more about that now, in the fact that his yawn Sigh Exercise, you started with a yawn and you sigh down. Oh, but when you do that in that way, you open the throat up wide, but you also drop the larynx extremely low. You're pushing the muscles in an opposite direction, and still, how would I say this? You're manipulating the muscular action because you're pushing the larynx down. The same way as sometimes when you're trying to sing high and the larynx rises and takes the vocal folds and pulls them out of the right position, puts them in a bad position, so it sort of decreases your ability to sing high. So what I had proposed is that I like the idea of the yawn Sigh Exercise to open and relax the throat, and be it kind of a counterbalancing yoga type exercise muscularly. But the idea of really sighing and sirening down, I'm saying that you should keep it balanced. We want to keep the larynx mid-position of the neck, not jetting up extremely high, not jetting down extremely low. That's a truth that nobody can deny. I mean, different people have their different theories and ideas about what the difference between a classically trained singer with a very open throat is versus a pop singer who's balancing their larynx. Well, the truth of the matter is that everybody's balancing their larynx that's using good technique, because it simply is the best position to put your throat in for protecting your voice and to get the most natural sound out. Now there's also, not theories, but there are people who say that, yeah, but we want a wider throat. We need the pharynx to be more open, wider. If you just balance the larynx, the pharynx is going to be a little smaller and you're going to get a thinner sound. So then people say, okay, well then what you have to do is you have to open the pharynx but keep the larynx balanced. So, you know, all of these theories, let me tell you that you can get strength and power by creating resonance in your voice. And that resonance does have to do with the pharynx in relationship to more airspace in the pharynx is going to give you more bigger resonant sound, and less is going to give you a thinner sound. But it's not only the size of the pharynx that has to do with getting good resonance. It also has to do with what's called chord compression. And that chord compression has to do with the false folds pushing in against the vocal folds. And you sort of do that with mind control, but you need exercises to sort of get yourself connected to that. And again, what that's all about when I talk about compression is, I can sing a note like this. I can sing, ah, or I can sing, ah, same note, ah, same notes, ah. Now you might say, well, he's singing louder on the second one. It sounds louder because I'm getting better chord compression, more resonance in my sound. That sound's going to cut through. And how do I get that sound? Yes, I have to compress the chords a little bit more. Something different between a breathy sound to a squeeze sound. Squeeze too far, breathy too far, somewhere in the middle of those two sounds. So example, if I'm going into a squeeze. Well, obviously the squeeze is not right. And obviously the breathy is not right. So it's got to be somewhere here. And when I do that, I'm getting better chord compression. So example, if I'm going into a squeeze. Well, obviously the squeeze is not right. And obviously the breathy is not right. So it's got to be somewhere here. And when I do that, I'm getting better chord compression. So you want to keep that in mind as well, okay? So let me tie this all together now. What I'm saying again is that we want to take Vannard's concept of doing the yawn sigh exercise, but modifying it by balancing the larynx and keeping the muscles underneath the chin nice and soft and relaxed, but still do his concept of opening the throat and dropping it. Can you do that? Again. And when you get down to the bottom note, don't go, oh, and don't push there at all. And I'm feeling the larynx to see that it stays right here. And I just let it fall into a vocal fry. If we go into the vocal fry, nothing moves the larynx because the air doesn't push too hard and you're not pushing the muscles down. So we can take that yawn sigh exercise, modify it a little bit, get a balanced sound, open up the throat, which gets the pharynx a little bit wider, and at the same time understand that that's not the only thing that helps give you power, but resonance in your voice also comes, besides from the size of the pharynx, from the compression of the chord. So it's a combination of those two things. That's why exercises that help build your compression as well as balance your larynx are great exercises to start to develop the power in your voice. So we can take that yawn sigh exercise, modify it a little bit, get a balanced sound, open up the throat, which gets the pharynx a little bit wider, and at the same time understand that that's not the only thing that helps give you power, but resonance in your voice also comes, besides from the size of the pharynx, from the compression of the chord. So it's a combination of those two things. That's why exercises that help build your compression as well as balance your larynx are great exercises to start to develop the power in your voice. All right, with that said, I will see you guys next week for the weekly wrap-up and lots more material coming.